I learned ton of a French vocabulary without memorizing after finding a method that helped me move from B2 to C2 naturally. You can do the same. You know that feeling when you've been studying for hours, writing lists of words, but tomorrow you can't remember half of them. I used to feel so guilty about that, and I thought I wasn't smart enough, or maybe English just didn't like me back. Every night I sit with my notebook, writing word by word, and I thought the more I collected words, the faster I get fluent. But deep down, I was just collecting proof that I was trying. It looked like progress, but it didn't feel like progress. So one day I closed that notebook and I thought, what if memorizing isn't learning? What if learning means something else? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is R. Just call me R. And yes, we're gonna talk about English again at my backyard again. You know, this question changed everything. Because when I stopped trying to memorize, something strange happened. I started to remember more. Instead of studying, I started noticing the way words felt when people spoke, that how tone changed meaning, how one sentence could make me understand five new words without even opening a dictionary. And maybe this will sound funny, but the less I tried to memorize, the more my brain began to keep this naturally. You know that our brain doesn't like pressure, so it remembers best when it feels safe, curious, and calm, just like how we remember stories from childhood, not because we memorized them, but because they meant something to us. Step number one is the first habit I built was simple. I stopped being a silent watcher. Whenever I watch English videos, I started pausing and repeating out loud, not to sound perfect, but to feel the rhythm of the sentence. At first, I felt shy even when I was alone. But then I realized this was how babies learn. They repeat before they understand. When I shadow another speaker, I started noticing something magical. I wasn't just copying pronunciation, I was copying emotion. And emotion is what makes a word stay longer. After a while, my mood began to move naturally. I didn't have to plan sentence anymore. It felt like the words were already inside me. And then I just had to open my mouth. And step number two is reading with curiosity. The next change was how I read. I used to stop every unfamiliar word. Like the book was a minefield of mistakes. But then I decided to trust myself a little more. So when I find a new word, I read a whole sentence out loud. I guess what it means before checking anything. It's like a game between you and the other. Most of the time, my guess is already close enough. And that small moment when I figure out meaning on my own, that's when the word stick forever. Because our brain loves discovery. It remembers things we understand, not things we just read. So our learnings becomes lighter when it feels like curiosity, not homework. So step number three, following instinct, not desire. For a long time, I was addicted to collecting a new word. It looked productive, like I was a serious learner. But honestly, I was just feeling my fear of being behind. One night, I looked at my long vocabulary list and I realized I didn't even care about most of the words there. They weren't part of my life. They were just decorating. So I stopped chasing every word that crossed my screen. But now I follow instinct. If a word keeps appearing or if it makes me curious, I'll learn it. If not, I'll let it go. And you know what? The fewer words I force myself, the more I actually remember. Because when something matters to you, your brain automatically gives it attention. That's the quiet magic of real learning. And step number 4 is building meaning, not list. The next time I learn a new word, I didn't just look for its definition. I looked for its story. When I learned the word ephemeral, I whispered it to myself, like life is ephemeral. Then I searched it, temporary, fleeting, momentary, and its opposite permanent, lasting. And suddenly that one word had a family, and my brain remembered it, not as a lonely stranger, but as a part of whole story. It's easier to remember what belongs to something, just like easier to remember person. When you know the people you love, it's easy to remember them, right? That's how you remember word, not number of lists. Step number 5, using English only. So stop translating into your native language. In the beginning, it was messy. I forgot simple words, but I forced myself to think in English, even when it sounded broken. And little by little, my thoughts started forming directly in English. No translation, no delay. It's like cleaning traffic in your brain. At first, it's chaos. Then the road becomes clean. When you only use English to explain English, your brain begins to connect with the language first. And then you stop depending on your native language for permission. Step number 6, sleep peace method. Sometimes I'd be lying and suddenly remember a word I didn't understand earlier the day. It would echo in my mind. I can't sleep and just thinking about that word. And I couldn't sleep until I looked up. Yes, I started keeping that small habit. When a new word stay in my mind, I quickly search it, read the meanings once, and then I can rest. It's strange, but it works. Once I feed it a little understanding, it finally relaxed. That's how I call it sleep pills. Because learning shouldn't keep you awake with guilt. It should let you rest with peace. Step number 7, living the word. The real change happened when I began living my vocabulary. If I learned a new word, abundance, I didn't just write it down. I started to say, I feel abundance today. If I learned resilient, I said, I'm proud becoming resilient. The more I spoke them in my daily thought, the faster they become part of me. From information into identity. Step number 8, learning with emotion. When you connect no word with emotion, it's longer in your mind. I remember when I first heard the word serendipity, I felt beautiful even before I know what it meant. When I learned it means happy accident, it became one of my favorite words because it describes how I found English itself that make you feel something are the one that stay longer. That's how language alive. Now when I think about how I used to learn, I just smile because all those notebooks full of lists, they weren't waste. They were part of the journey that led me here. But today I learn differently. I don't just vocabulary anymore. I let it come to me. I trust if I keep watching, reading, listening, and speaking, the word I need will find me. And they always do. So if you ever feel tired, if you feel like you are not progressing fast enough, breathe. You were not behind, you were just learning a new deeper way. Language isn't about collecting words, it's about collecting moments of understanding. And one day, you'll realize you've become fluent, not because you memorized thousands of words, but because you lived them. Don't learn them to look smart, but learn them to sound yourself but in another language. I love to hear your story too. What's one word or phrases that change the way you see English? So share it in the comment. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share with someone who's struggling to gain vocabulary but without boring way. Your support truly means the world to me. We are learning English step by step, and your presence here keeps this journey alive. See ya in my next video. Bye bye.